Okay, great. So we're going to get started. We are here for the art of the ask. So tonight we're going to talk about crafting powerful appeals for every opportunity. All right, so for folks that can get to Menti, you know who you are. How are you doing today? Just type in a word. And if you're awestruck and we see no words, then we know you're speechless. Yay, great. Oh boy, there's a lot of words. Ooh, tired but optimistic. Okay.
Amen, whoever wrote that.
Wow, the word cloud is growing. Look at that.
Yay.
That's awesome. I'm glad to see people.
Better than good.
Excited to learn. Linda Kay, you've got some do-outs today.
Wow.
Super. Ooh,
Fine.
love it.
Excited to learn, that's good.
Yeah, crazy. Okay, we'll ask about that at the break. Okay. All right, thanks everyone. All right, now that you've got the hang of it, we're going to ask you, and we'll go around the table too. Linda Kay loves to do it, but until we get there, let's get to know you. Tell us a bit about you and your organization, so whatever you want to type in. All right, we have in the audience, our participating audience, we have the Arts Foundation of Federal Way. Woohoo! SVDP Board of Directors.
What's that stand for? SVDP. Anybody?
St. Vincent de Paul.
Oh, yes, of course.
Thank you.
I am the owner of a small restaurant business that just opened in May. Yay. Society of St. Vincent de Paul. Yay. Another shout out. Of course, Audiobook Ministries. Thank you for being here again. Director of Rima Healthcare, a home care licensed agency in Washington State. Oh, wow. A super volunteer with 7 different community service organizations and looking for programs.
I know who that is, Mimi.
And Calvin's here, Rima Healthcare, a home care agency, which provides care to adults in their home. Nice. We have quite a nice room. Okay, Linda Kay, would you like to do any introductions around the table as folks are typing this in?
I would. So I'm going to tell a little bit about myself, am I?
Yeah, and if you want to learn anything else, it's all you.
All right, good. So I'll wait for myself until after we meet. So what I'd like to do is go around the room and tell us all your name, and tell me the organization that you work with, and tell me if because tonight's topic is gift approaches, right? It's asking people for money. We're going to talk about types of donors too. We're going to review just a little bit from last week, expand it a bit. But mostly we're going to talk about a gift approach. Who goes? What does it look like? Why is it important? It's not a script, it's a guide. We're going to talk all about that. So I'd like to know what experience you have in approaching someone for a gift, whether it's a cash gift, a legacy gift, a sponsorship gift, whatever that might be. All right? So Jerry, tell us, and tell me how long who you are, what the organization is, how long you've been at that organization, and if you've given a gift approach or what that looks like.
Okay, so 2 years with the Federal Way Symphony, just about 2 years. And I was volunteer procurement for Susan G. Komen for 20 years, which are 2 different asks. I started to set up a program for the symphony based on businesses rather than individual asks, because a lot of the people in the symphony have been involved for a lot of years, and they're getting older and they're not donating like they used to. So I'm trying to tailor it with not knowing anyone in the Federal Way business community.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
That makes sense. Yep, pass the mic. Nice that you're here again. Thanks.
My name is Jean Burbage. I'm with Arts Foundation Federal Way, as are 2 other people here this evening. Arts Foundation Federal Way evolved out of the Coalition for the Performing Arts, which was the organization representing existing performing groups in Federal Way that worked over the years, many years, to raise money for the Performing Arts and Event Center.
And what do you do there, Jean?
I'm sorry?
And what do you do there?
I'm vice president right now.
Of the board?
Of the board.
Of the board.
Yes.
So you get paid a lot of money for the job you're doing? Okay, just checking.
Over the years, my husband and I have shared some funds
Okay.
along the way, yes.
Okay. And do you have experience with gift approaches?
Yes, I do. Not a huge amount, but
Okay.
I've approached people on the phone and emails and in written format at
Any
various
face-to-face
times.
gift approaches?
Face to face.
That's what I'm looking for, your experience with face-to-face gift approaches. And it's fine that you don't, that's why you're here.
I would say yes, but we've
Yes,
used the other forms more broadly.
Sure, sure. Okay, nice to have you with us, Jean. Hi, Mimi.
Hi,
Thanks for
I'm
coming
Mimi.
back.
I'm trying to figure out which one I'm going to talk about. I guess Federal Way Pride. For the last 3 years, we've hosted a Federal Way Pride event on the campus of Whiteside UCC, and People's History with Churches. We're looking to move into a Federal Way Park so that that's more accessible for everyone. I've worked with nonprofits probably after my boys went back to school. So off and on, 20 years. And we've mostly done letter approaches. We've done events until I'm blue in the face. So yeah, figuring out how to do the actual ask would be a lot more productive and a lot more less energy sucking.
A little more efficient, that's energy sucking, that's a word in fundraising, yeah.
I'm Lori from Audiobook Ministries. I've been with them for 10 years, but I've been the executive director for 2 years. We're a free Christian lending library for people that are blind, disabled, or just can't turn a page of a book. Really just the end of the year Easter giving campaigns, letter campaigns.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm scared to do face-to-face.
Not after tonight. You will not be afraid. I just guarantee that, right? Or your money back. Oh, you didn't pay any money. Okay, well, I still guarantee you won't be as afraid, yeah. Jacqueline, welcome.
Thank you. My name is Jacqueline Thiaka, and I'm actually planning to start a business. But my background is in administration, human resources, and currently I work in healthcare. I work for Hallmark Manor as a CNA, but I've also worked with the behavioral clients for 2 years. And I've worked with the DSP or as a DSP with the developmental.
So some of us don't know what can you hold the mic a little closer?
Developmental disability clients. When you work with them, then you're called a DSP, which is a direct support professional.
Okay,
But
thank you.
I also volunteer as a community health worker with the African Leaders Health Board for the last 5 years.
Wonderful.
And my main aim to start a company is to do staffing, and also I'm very keen with mentoring young people, especially people who are going through drugs and alcohol abuse and all that in the community. And I also do outreaches with with my church. I go to Christian Faith Center, and we do outreach for the homeless people on Saturdays.
Is there anything you don't do, Jacqueline?
No, I do a lot of everything,
busy all
but
the time.
anything that to do with the community, and I just want
just
to
give, that's
embrace
just what you do.
Yes.
Have you had experience with one-on-one, in-person gift approaches?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
So I'm here
Great.
to learn.
Well, glad you're here. Glad you're here.
Well, I feel like I am in not right place right now. I feel like everybody should do some kind of a nonprofit or some kind of more like community-oriented work, but I am just simply open a new business in Central Plaza. It's a small, tiny restaurant called the B-Beam Express. So, I spent 1.5 years to build up that business, and we finally opened it. And my expectation was like, okay, this is good business, and then people are gonna love my food, and then they're gonna come. But in reality, it is not that way at all. I was kind of shocked to see the little kind of foot traffic that the Federal Way didn't have that much in that downtown area. So right now, I'm just trying to everything I can do to to build up and establish the business. So I'm kind of not like you guys doing this amazing job, but I'm more like I don't know, am I in the right place or
Jim,
not?
I'll tell you that running a business, regardless of what kind of business it is,
Uh-huh.
you will find some value tonight
Okay.
in how you ask people to support you.
Okay.
Regardless of what that support is. It could be money, it could be sponsorship, it could be a partnership, it could be a vendor relationship. I think it will help you.
Okay,
I
thank
think
you.
it will help you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Before we go here, let's go to the back table, and then we don't have to walk that back. If we could. Thank you. Thank you, Jim, and welcome. Welcome.
I'm Alan Smith, and I'm with the Arts Foundation of Federal Way also. And the experience that I've had asking for money is not super difficult because it's the organizations I've been with, the Symphony, the Arts Foundation, going back to Houston, even there's a arts group called Diverse
Can you
Works.
just hold that mic up a little closer? Thanks.
I've worked in Houston in some nonprofits as well, and I've been a teacher. That's close.
Kinda.
Yeah. Excellent. So it's easy for me to ask for money because I'm usually talking to a friend of mine, and I really know that the arts are worth supporting. So it's easy to prove value for
When
me.
you're talking to friends, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we'll
yeah.
talk about how donors can be friends. Yeah. Are you paid too as a volunteer?
Oh, no.
No. Yeah, just checking. Yeah, there's a lot of money in this room. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. My name
Calvin.
is Calvin, and I work with Rema Healthcare. I am co-founder with Sharon actually. So basically, what I'm doing is we provide care to adult people in their homes, and so it's a business. And based on the discussion which is going on here, I had never meet face to face with a person, but we are looking to learn. I'm looking personally to learn about how I can get the referrals into the business, how I can talk to people, and they can understand what exactly we are doing and see the value in it. That's it. Yeah.
All right. Welcome, Calvin.
Hello, my name is Stacy. I'm with the Society of St. Vincent de Paul on the board of directors. I have been in that position for about 10 months now. My experience with the ask, I've sold Girl Scout cookies and school fundraisers, so the answer is no, minimal experience, and so that's why I am here.
Okay, good. Glad to have you here. And we'll move it on over to Sharon, which I bet's the co-developer with Calvin.
Yes. My name is Sharon, and I'm here through Jackie's invitation. And I kept asking Kelvin, what do I expect? You know, I'm going for this meeting. I don't know what to expect. You know, tell me something. And, you know, just listening to you, everybody else, I think I'm in the right place.
Oh, good.
Because Kelvin and I are both CNAs, that's certified nursing assistants, and we've been in this field for a couple of years now. And we saw a need, having worked in different facilities and worked in different homes, we saw a need of our clients, or rather our patients. Most people don't know where to go when the need arises for them to get care. They don't know where to go, and maybe in some cases they're not handled in a professional way. So we saw the need and we said, can we fill in this gap? And we went ahead and registered a company, Rema Healthcare, and that's the company that we are running now from the month of April this year. So we are barely 1 year into the business, but we will get there. And we have a few clients, but just looking to grow, looking for referrals. And in terms of maybe the ask, I do not have much experience here, But back home, I worked for a nonprofit organization in the finance field, and I must say that I have some experience in the face-to-face ask, because I have dealt with donors, and but I would want to learn more, because I wouldn't say that I know. So that's it. I want to know more.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
So
came to the right place.
I'm in the right place.
Where is back home?
Back home is Kenya,
In Kenya.
East Africa. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Welcome. Welcome to this home.
Yeah, so I worked for a non-profit organization called Action Against Hunger, and we had our head office in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, some of those things that you used or maybe learned, you can learn now to talk about investors for your new company, right? This will be good experience for you to talk about what investors need to know. The same with the restaurant, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter kind of what the cause is, the structure's the same. So I think you'll all get a little something out of that. Thanks for coming. Jacqueline, thank you for inviting her. That was nice.
My name is John, and I'm the president of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul at our parish, which is St. Vincent de Paul Parish in Federal Way. And I have been the president for 1 year, and my experience with society is 2 years. So I have zero experience in ask.
We love those
because
terms.
all of
Zero's
the
good.
all of the money comes from our parishioners.
Yeah, that's a blessed revenue, believe me.
It is.
John, are you a president of the board? Is that right, or
I am the president of the conference. So
that's what we call them. That's right.
Stacy's part of our conference, but she also works at the board level.
Okay.
So-
Okay, great. Thanks. Thanks for coming back, John. That's a good sign.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Cindy Panette. I'm also with Arts Foundation Federal Way. I'm the treasurer there, so I see money coming in and out.
We all need a treasurer, let's just say.
I've had time to think about various experiences. I was a loaned executive for United Way.
Oh, wonderful.
So I did stand up in front of crowds of people
Yes, you
and
did.
ask for money, with not exactly individual face.
For United Way of King County?
Pierce County.
Pierce County.
Actually,
Oh.
that was a lot of fun. That was a long time ago. So now I have asked, when we were trying to get money to fund the building of the Performing Arts and Events Center, we did make an appeal to a corporate. We went in person and had a big dog and pony kind of show where we presented the need and asked. So there was a corporate ask, and then I have asked, most recently, asked a person to come and donate for our cause, and she started to write out the check and said, "Would you like? Was $500 good?" And I said, "Well, 1,000 would be better." And she just wrote a check for 1,000. So that was my most recent.
Lovely. And that was the right answer for the question. Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us, Cindy. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Janine, and I like to help nonprofits, I guess you could say. I'm just a person, a volunteer.
Person is good.
Yeah. But I mainly have helped against child trafficking for about 10 years. That's one of the main organizations that I helped. And a couple of years ago, we put together an adoption trafficking awareness symposium at the Tacoma History Museum. And we invited several people who've been adopted overseas, who've been unethically adopted, to come and speak, as well as mothers of loss and that sort of thing. So the main thing that we try to do is educate the public on the crisis, so then they can be informed, and it helps to protect local and global families from being duped and that sort of thing. So that's what I mainly do. But I also have a friend who her father lives here, has lived in Federal Way he just turned 90, and he's an artist, and I'd like to be able to help him sell a lot of his art pieces. And I think one of them is there, that one right there. Marshall Johnson.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and he's been a Federal Way resident for a long time, so I'd like to kind of help.
Make some gift approaches?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, Marshall Johnson.
So,
And have you had experience one-on-one?
oh no, that's the thing. That's why I'm here.
That's why you're here. Okay. All right. All right. All right. So,
I'm Angela. I'm your navigator tonight, and you've met Linda. So we have a few slides. Okay. So just a reminder for me, I like checklists. I do a lot of grant writing. So what we're going to go into tonight is about like your impact speech, why you need money, and how to go about that conversation. So this slide's in your packet. So for folks that may or may not have been here last week, this is just like when you have to have that conversation, some things to have in your toolbox or your mind to be able to facilitate engagement. Okay, I like this one. We all need visuals. Linda Kay, want to say something about this?
yeah, we talked a little bit about this last week, but just as a ramp up for those that weren't here, this is kind of what a perfect development department looks like. And so sometimes it just doesn't exist. It is a diversification of revenue. So in most cases, in most departments that are raising money, doesn't matter what the cause is, right? You have major gifts. You can see that's the majority of the wheel. Major gifts is what you name it. Some organizations are $500, some are $5,000. Hospitals are normally 10. Academia is maybe 20, 25. Just kind of depends, right? United Way is $1,000, depending on the United Way. So major gifts is when you have a one-on-one gift approach with someone and they're giving you a major gift. They're not writing an annual check for you. This is a specific time. Going down to the left, planned giving, everybody knows what that is, right? Those are legacy gifts. Those are your estate gifts. In a perfectly well-balanced revenue pie in a department, someone is talking about folks' legacy. And this is probably the most overlooked. It started in academia a long time ago. Hospitals got smarter after academia, right, and medical schools and attorney schools and those lawyer schools. But now you're seeing even the smallest shops dedicating a resource to planned giving and legacy giving. It's really a person that fills out a piece of paper, not even binding, not even legally binding, that says, when I go from this earth, I'd like to leave you blank. A percentage of my assets, a dollar amount, and then normally that family knows about it, and then we'll make that happen. It's probably the easiest revenue, but we are so afraid of it. That's what development departments are so afraid to talk about legacy giving. And if you have an opportunity to add legacy giving to your portfolio, smart, and smarter. It's as much effective as major gifts. It's just focused on a gift after they've gone, right? Grants are those federal and state grants. Everybody knows what that means. We work so hard to get grants. Angela's the queen of grant making. You have more questions, you can ask her tonight. Event, these are the folks, and we'll talk a little bit about this again, about 7 types of donors we talked about last week. Events, we could all throw them away. They're a pain in the neck. They drive us nuts. We work too long on them. The ROI, the return on investment, is low. It's a lot of work for a little return, but donors love them. And you just cannot have events. It's just like the ABCs. Events are the most costly, less return on investment, but the most fun for some donors, and it's the only way some donors give. They live for events. This is it. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Annual fund is what you've all kind of done, right? Most of you have done a letter writing annual campaign. This is something in the mail. It's that time of year. It's cold outside. Oh, it's spring outside. Sometimes you do it once a year, twice a year. These are the annual gifts. So that in itself is the perfect revenue pie. And those percentages, if you could put percentages on them, would be about right. But I've never seen it perfect. It just depends on your organization. But to have them all or to strive for all of them is the goal. Okay? All right. So,
next slide.
Move on.
Okay. Now we're going to talk about 7 donor types. And as we get ready for this conversation, like this cozy chat we're going to have asking for money, it's important to know who you're asking and what motivates that person to give. And so we did have a handout which kind of goes a little bit deeper into these donor types, but I'll let Linda Kay kind of describe them for you, for folks that would like to know a little bit more.
Yeah, we talked about this last week, and I'm not going to reread this for those that were here last week, but I'm going to talk a little bit about what makes all donors give. And I encourage you to read this, what the 7 donor types are. This was established in 1994, and it hasn't changed. Donors have not changed. You know, like the seasons haven't changed, spring, fall, winter, summer. It's kind of the 7 donor types have not either. On this one, on the second page, you'll notice it says socialite. That's an older word in the 90s. We call them event donors now. These are the people that they're buying new shoes, new outfits, and can hardly wait for the event to be. And this is where you're pulling your hair out as a volunteer going, oh, I hate this event, I hate this event, I hate this event. That's just how they work. So I would have you pay special attention for those that weren't here last week. On the bottom of the second page, the point of having the knowledge of 7 donor type is exactly what it says under the point. Board members or staff, right, anybody working on the team, needs to understand what the donor types are so they can watch and listen for clues and meet the other person's emotional needs as they approach them for support. So you use specific words and methods that suit them. So you don't talk about, for example, over and over about a balance sheet to an event donor. Who you talk to in a balance sheet is the investor, right? They want to know, no matter how pretty the brochure is, they want the numbers on the organization, on the event if you're having one, right? These are the people that are very nice in person, and the last question they ask is, and do you have the numbers for that? They ask very lovely, but if you're not ready, you'll make no progress with them. It's really important. So let me talk a little bit about what we need to remember about being a fundraiser, if you will. We do need to remember that as fundraisers, we're kind of like the United Nations, right? We are all people, all colors. We have no judgment. We only customize for a donor because they're one of these donors. Not by color, not by culture, any of that. It is every donor is equal, period. And the only thing you do is what motivates them. There is a commonality, though, what motivates a donor, and there's 3 of them. And there's not a handout on this, so if you want to take notes and look at it later, you might do that. There are basically, and this is data founded. This isn't me just giving my opinion. This is data founded. It's in this book, in case you've never heard of this book. It's called Boards on Fire, Inspiring Leaders to Joyfully Raise Money, or Raise Money Joyfully. It is the bread and butter of what I teach and have going on 10 years. And I'm sorry I didn't introduce myself. That's right, my name is Linda K. Briggs. I am the founder of the Briggs Group. I started it going on 10 years. This is my 10th year. And basically, I teach people how to raise money. I train boards on this book. A lot of white spaces. Don't let it intimidate you. You can probably finish it in an hour and a half. And it's designed to create pathways for you to overcome barriers to being a joyful fundraising board. And on the other side, even if you're not a board member and you're a staff, let's say, you will learn a lot. You will learn a lot. My fundraising career started after I had a baby. I had a big 10-pound baby with red hair and decided that I didn't want to make the stock holders of corporations richer anymore. I just needed a different calling. Oftentimes with women in their late 30s, mid-30s, to say, I need more meaning. It's not enough to keep making people richer. So I moved, unbeknownst to me, to United Way of Pierce County was my first job as a marketing person. I was a banker. I was a regional banker. I had 32 branches. Most of the people were older than I was, and I was successful at it, but it lost its purpose for me. So when I had this big 10-pound baby, he's 30-something now, 31, I think it is. I went to work for United Way in marketing, and the president said, I think you belong in fundraising. I said, oh, no, that's not me. I belong in marketing. And he said, yeah, this isn't really a question. I'm going to be moving you to the fundraising department. And I thought, I didn't want to lose my job. And I thought, okay, but I don't know. Well, I loved it, right? It's about money, and it's about people's confidence, and it's about people's relationships. Well, I had that in banking all the time. For 15 years I was in banking, right? And I loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. And I was tapped on the shoulder to go to a hospital called Multicare. You may have heard of them. I was there for 10 years as the executive director for the Multicare Health Foundation. That's the foundation that raises money for the adult side of the house. Mary Bridge is the children's side of the house, so it's a lot easier to raise money for children. And when they interviewed me, I thought that's where I was going. And then she said, my boss, you know, that's for anybody. For those really talented, and I went, here it comes. Here it comes. So I spent 10 years as the executive director there, and from there I started the Briggs Group. Never wanting to, just kind of worked out that way. It was time for a change, and somebody asked me for help, and I didn't really want to work for them, but I wanted to help them, and thus a consulting firm was birthed. I have 3, 4 sometimes contractors who work for me. They're not employees. They do beautiful work, a graphic designer, a marketing gal, wonderful writer, and an administrative. So I have, and my partner here, who helps me all the time, Angela. So we are the Briggs Group, and we manage or have clients that are all over the universe. For-profit, nonprofit, school districts, city, municipalities, all kinds of things, people that need some help in relationship building. So that's a little bit about me. So this book, get this book. This is a great investment. If you order from, it's by Susan Howlett, Howlett. It's the second edition. If you buy more than 12, I think you get a reduction. And don't go to Amazon, go to her website. She's less money. Amazon doesn't give you a break when you order 12, right? She does still. She's retired. If I was gonna write a book about fundraising, I would write this book. I might be a little more smart alecky though. I might use a little humor because I think fundraising's funny sometimes. So it's pretty straightforward. So if you want a good read, I mean, you can tell, you'll yellow highlight, you'll stickies, you'll find all kinds of things that you like about this book. This is also a wonderful book to give as a gift to people that are starting out, to people to really understand when you're a volunteer what you need. So it doesn't necessarily need to be for a nonprofit. It could be what makes a good board. Put the cause, whatever you want. But this is what really makes a good board if you want to joyfully engage them. Some boards say, well, I don't want them to be fundraisers, but I want them to be ambassadors. Same difference in this book. It can be both. They can be both. So I would encourage you to read that. So in this book, data-based, there are basically 3 feelings that donors want to feel from a face-to-face meeting or a thank you or a phone call that motivates them to give statistically. What we have to find a way to do is to weave all 3 of these in a conversation with donors or prospect. And they're really surprisingly simple. And I think that you will agree that we've all done these things. Maybe we just weren't conscious of them yet. And here they are. Research tells that there are 3 things that motivate giving. And the important part there is motivates giving and continuous giving. These are the same 3 things. They don't change. Once a donor gives, these are the same things that motivate them. And the first one is feeling appreciated. This is not a surprise, and all of us know, right, how to make someone feel appreciated. We do it right now in our lives. We do it with our partner, our parents, our kids, our teachers, the Sunday school teacher. We all have this skill of making someone feel appreciated. But could we do it more? Yes, we could. Yes, we could. And I'll tell you that supporters not only want to be appreciated for the dollars given, but they want to be appreciated for their values and their priorities and their actions in the world. Now that's a really strong, deep sentence, but it's true. If I say to you that you're working, Janine, on child trafficking, I am so glad that you were in the world battling that issue. She is feeling appreciated. And I sincerely, authentically appreciate what she's doing. So that's how donors want to feel, because now I'm telling her, I might be interested in helping you. That's what I'm telling her behind the scenes. Number 2, behavior makes a difference. So this is also a skill that we've used many times. People want to know that their behavior, and if that's an in-kind gift or a cash gift, whatever it is, they need us to draw vivid pictures of what their money did. And you know this, you've heard this before. But when people contribute to our work, where did that gift land? And what lives did they touch? And what impact did they make? right? Behavior makes a difference. The third one is a sense of community and belonging. We talked about this before a little bit. People right now, especially now, and you know this from being in our culture, people are yearning for a sense of community or a sense of belonging. As board members, you use these words now, belong to our community, our family, right? How many times have we used family? Ana familia, we say, right? There has to be a belonging to the group of people that you're incorporating that donor with. They want to be with you. They want to belong to something bigger than themselves, and that's what it is. So when we say motivate to give, these aren't ideas for you to do a one-and-done donor. This is for you to meet a donor. We're going to talk about how we approach a gift, and then how you sustain that relationship. These three things are to sustain relationships, not take one and go. Not one investor and go. Not one person that does one performance in the symphony or in the Arts Foundation. These are continuous relationships, and if you do these three things in the beginning, that's what you have. That's what you have. Questions about that at all? No? Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Let's go to the 3 Ps.
Okay, sorry. Haha, 3 Ps will be next. So we've already answered, have you engaged in a donor conversation before? So we'll skip this one. But now we're going over to the 3 Ps.
That's right. We're going to the 3 Ps.
3 Ps, passion,
Autumn leaves, yeah.
preparation, and practice.
Okay. So when I say talking points, and I'm going to hand you out blank ones in a minute, I want to talk about a couple things before I hand them out. You probably heard of this. Okay, where's my script? Right? That is a banned word. Do not use the word script. This is, in fundraising, this is not a movie house. This is not a slick presentation. What I'm going to share with you tonight are the talking points, because that's what they are. You can talk over here, you can talk over here, you can talk here. These are just suggestions of how you might do it. How you do it is the way you do it. These are just parameters for you to kind of help follow. But I will tell you, because why? Why can't we have a script? Because humans are not robotic. You can't give a script like an actor and make a scene. That donor's going to say something different, you're going to say something different, and then when they respond that way, you're going to say something different. So it's really important that this is a flow. This is a flow that's working, not robotic, and you have to say every word, right? That's important to remember. In particular, when you're asking someone to invest money in what you are presenting, right? So there's a couple of things that need to be said when you're talking about approaching someone one-on-one. And one of them is passion. There has got to be passion in you as the fundraiser for this project. There's got to be passion from the donor for your organization. You do not ask for a gift if there is no passion. There's got to be some passion. Otherwise, just write them a letter. Just write them a letter. If you're in front of somebody, you know that there's some kind of passion in some manner, right? And I will say that this donor in front of you should absolutely feel your enthusiasm for that passion. It should be palatable. I'd really like you to give to the Arts Foundation. It's really memorable. It's really going to be meaningful to our future of our city. Like, that is not passion, right? Wait till you see what we have in store at the next concert. You're going to go crazy for it, right? You see the difference, right? And people can feel, they can taste, they can see and hear passion. So that's the most important thing as a fundraiser when I'm talking about a gift approach. And I don't say ask for money. I don't say shake them down. I don't say going after. We're going to talk about that in the third and final class, November 7th. Those are words that don't count. And words count, right? So we don't use any of those words. So, also, and when I'm talking about passion, before I move on from passion, there has to be a passion for you as the fundraiser for the organization as well. So you've got authentic passion for you, right? You're excited about this cause. You're excited about the organization you're representing, and you share the passion that this donor may have for you as well. There's a lot of, it's like a trifecta. There's a lot of passion going on. But without the enthusiasm and the passion, just send a letter, right? If you don't have it, send a letter. If you can't define it, send a letter, right? Okay, the next thing, the next issue that you really have to, the skill you have to have is the preparation. That's the second P, about the donor and about the project. You should be the Obi-Wan Kenobi of this project. There is no question that should be asked about this project that you don't know. Now, if it's really crazy, like I'd like the last 5 years of statistical data on your organization, you go, no, that's a great question, I'll get back to you. That's okay. But about the project itself, what you're investing in, the restaurant, if you're investing in trafficking, if you're investing in a pride parade, whatever home health as an investor, whatever it is, you have got to understand it better than anyone. Better than anyone. So your preparation, my word for that is due diligence. I can tell you in 2 sentences if someone's prepared to talk to me, right? I may even know a little bit about the project before you sit down and ask me for a gift, right? So you need to really know what you're talking about. I have a client right now, she's with Habitat for Humanity, and she is a rock star. And do you know why? Because there is nothing she doesn't know about that project. I mean, an 80-year-old man or a 25-year-old woman has a question in their way, right, their age way, she can answer the question. That's how well she knows. And she answers it with passion. So I know due diligence can do. It's magical. It really can make or break a gift approach. I can tell you right now, if someone doesn't know, or you're a little slick, or your passion's not there, make or break. A person is already checked out. Already checked out. And the third one, people laugh at me about this, but it's not funny. I'm telling you it works. I am living proof. I have raised, and I don't say this very often, I've literally raised millions of dollars with these 3 elements. Millions. It sounds, ostentatious or kind of braggy, but it's not. It's really, I've raised money doing this. Somebody taught me, a consultant taught me to do it, and now I do it, and it works. And that is, and you have it up there, is practice. I literally, when my partner, and we're going to talk about how we do gift approaches most effectively. Can you do it one-on-one? Yes. Is it a better with 2? Yes. But your partner and you actually practice the gift approach. Like you're rehearsing for a play, right? You don't act like a play, but you rehearse back and forth. And there's a lot of reasons to do that, but if you don't do it, it is so apparent to the donor. Like, did you guys even know what each other is saying? One's over here, one's over there. Here's the board member. I got this. I've done this 1,000 times. I don't need to practice. It's no problem. And that is the person you get in front of a donor that just blows it. That just blows it. So you want, as a fundraiser, control. You want control about what's going to be talked about as much as you can. Can't always. But what's going out is in your control. And what's going out, hopefully, of your volunteer, you have control over, at least in the beginning. Do volunteers kind of waver places? Yes, yes, but we know what's going to happen because we practice. So come on back over here. Come on. We're going to stay here. Our job is to stay right here. And volunteers can go here. Donors can go here, no problem. They can go off topic, but you both know where you want to be, so gently, the 2 of you pull that donor right over here. So this gift approach is in the middle. That's where we decided we would go together. Okay, now, let's talk about meat and potatoes here. This is the good stuff. Oh, I'm getting up. Got to move the camera. All right, here we go. Now, what we've done here is Habitat for Humanity. I wrote this for them, and then I said to my rock star, hey, I'd like to use you an example. And she goes, oh, please, use me as an example. I'd be thrilled. So, her name is Sharana Kilden, and she works for Pierce County Habitat. And so we're going to use the examples of one of the gift approaches that we used and how we do it. So we're just going to walk through this, and I'm just going to share with you some ideas on how it happens. So let me help first. Let me just go right at the top. We put now this is a Word document, right? So the donor's name, we put the name in, right? And we put the ask amount. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we don't say, whatever you want to give, we'd just be happy to get it. We never say that. Put your right hand up. I will never say that to someone. Whatever I can afford, no, you won't do it. Because donors don't know what that means. To me, the best I can give you, my best example is on a golf course. and we were raising money. And this guy knew we were raising money for Tacoma General. I raised about $30 million for the Tacoma General Emergency Room and the Mary Bridge Emergency Room. It was one campaign. And this doctor, this physician, I'm friends with many of them, but this particular one, I was on a golf course. He goes, "Hey, Linda Kay, you're starting that campaign." I said, "Yes, sir, we are. We're in the silent phase, so we haven't really told a lot of people." He goes, "I'm going to give you a check right now for $1,000. He could afford 30 of those $1,000 checks, but what did he want to do? He wanted to get it done and done so that I couldn't come to him. Well, that didn't work, of course, I can tell you. But if you don't say what you want, you will get less than what you want. Every time. Even if you say to a donor, "Listen, whatever's meaningful to you we'll appreciate." No, never let that come out of your mouth. Never, 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 never. You can strategize about what you know about this donor, right? That's the research, right? And the P word, practice, the due diligence, right? You're going to strategize with whoever you strategize with, peers, your boss, you yourself. It's always good to have another person. This is what I'm thinking about for this donor. Maybe it's over 5 years. Maybe it's one gift to help me pump up my restaurant or sponsorship or pump up my business, pump up the arts for this particular project, whatever that is. But you need to have a dollar amount in mind. Will you always be right on the money? No. But will you be more on the money if you ask for an amount? Yes. Yes, you will. Right? Because what's meaningful to me could be $10,000. What's meaningful to you could be, oh my God, no, 5,000, that's all ever go. Right? So you have to, and you have to be careful. You have to do your due diligence for it. You have to know that they are comfortable somewhat with this kind of money, right? You don't go crazy at all. That won't help. Okay, so there. Ask amount, always time. The gift approach team, always try for 2. Back and forth 2 is much better. Otherwise, it becomes a little monotonous. Another thing, don't go to a restaurant and ask for money, right? Because right in the middle of your best part, you hear, "Did you want some more coffee, honey?" And your train of thought is done. Or, "Do you have any dessert?" "Oh, I can't believe he's asking me for dessert." Or your donor is thirsty and wants another Coke right in the middle of your presentation. Not a good idea. Can you ask people in their home? Yes. Can you be in an office? Yes. Their office? Yes. Your office? Yes. Lots of options. In a coffee shop, depends on the coffee shop, but try to stay away from food or service where there are other people that are going to enter your world of this gift approach. Okay? And the reason I could know this is because, of course, many times I went to restaurants and went, "Oh, I should not be here." Didn't take me too many. I think maybe 3 or 4 times I finally got it, that we don't do that. Okay? So here's how these talking points work. And I call them, remember, if you can get this in your language, it has helped me so many times. Don't call it the ask. Call it the gift approach. It is a gift you are asking for, and you're approaching them for your help. If someone says, "I wonder if I could make a gift approach or support you," ask for your support, but not an ask. That is not a professional fundraiser's word at all, just so you know. And every time I hear it, I say, "You mean gift approach?" I say that every time. So you can see on the left-hand side, the first column, it says person. That's the people speaking, right? And in this case, you see Sharana's name, because Sharana is the rock star, and you see barely anybody else's name, but I didn't want to put a name in there. But you could put your name right in there if you want this example, right? So that's the left-hand side of who says what on the gift approach. So you assign parts. Who's ever best. If you have a board member that is so good at, what's the first box? Appreciation. That's pretty wonderful. It's a great place to put a donor, or or your partner that's a board member, because they can just ooze thank you because they mean it. They absolutely mean it. So you can, and you see the next box down says appreciation from the second person. You always start a gift approach with appreciation for what they've done before. And if they haven't done for you before, they've done somewhere in the community or someone you know of, because they've done something beautiful. That's why you're in front of them, right? So sometimes I would urge you to be as quantitative as you can be in your appreciative remarks. You know, John, you have given us $4,000 over the last 2 years, and we are so grateful, right? Not just, "Gee, you've been so generous, thanks," right? People like to hear what they've given. Like, do you even know how much I've given you? Right? And when you say, we have a 20-year relationship and you've given to our organization and that's $12,000, thank you so much. Because what does this do? It lifts them up. It's their sense of belonging. They're una familia. They're in your family now. So always, always start a gift approach with appreciation and hopefully appreciation from the second person, right? And here's examples, right? Always with a gift approach, because, right, these are talking points, and some people say, well, I have to memorize it all. No, you don't. And my favorite thing to say to a donor is this, right in the first box on the right. Thank you for letting us use our notes. And this is what we say. Thank you for letting me use my notes. I just don't want to forget anything. I want you to know everything about this wonderful project we're talking about. And the donor goes, okay, right? They don't shoot you or judge you or think it's a bad thing. They go, oh, you don't want to miss anything? Okay, I don't want to miss anything. Go ahead, use your notes. It's a positive. So don't be afraid to use these. You created them for your partner, and you want that partner to stay on track. So believe me, you need it. And when they're out here somewhere, or the donor's out here somewhere and you're here, you want these notes, because now you're realizing, what is she talking about? She got off on something. You go, well, and thanks so much, Sharana. And then so let's talk about, and then you just bring it right back, right? That's part of your role as the duo, right? Okay, so let's go back to the first page. So really important to talk about what they've done for the organization, the tenure, whatever it might be in your case. And then you can see in the second one, appreciated from the second person, then we get specific, right? Since 2020, you have donated over $5,000. Thank you so much. It makes a huge difference. However that makes sense to you, right? You can customize that any way you want to. So here's what we do. And I've done this, I'm going in my 10th year. I've used it in every capital campaign I use, regardless of the organization. Regardless of the organization. This is the same structure I use. I learned it from a consultant company in San Francisco. It doesn't matter if I'm raising money for ERs or for the Symphony of Tacoma or Furcrest Community Center every client, Goodwill, United Way of Pierce County, all my clients through the last 9 years have used this and been successful, made their goal. So that's all I can ask you to understand. So here it is. So let's go through the middle column where it says topic. So the first person, that's a person's name. I just didn't fill it in. You could put your name if you want to. You are showing appreciation. Then it goes to Sharana. She's the staff person. She does the second appreciation. Then we talk about the current status, right? Because you're introducing a project that has a need and you're raising money, whatever that is. So what is the current status of your project or of your organization? Right? This is Habitat because it's Habitat for Humanity. But this tells the donor what's going on right now, right? What's happening right now at Habitat. So she tells them what's going on with Habitat, right? And then, so this is the big need of what's happening, what's going on, and then starts the overview of the campaign, which is why she's here, to ask for money. Now, I have in here, there's two versions. One is the long version with every word, and the other, which Sharana actually prefers, are bullets. Because she gets nervous because she can't say every word. And then she's fumbled and she feels like a failure. Don't let that scare you. Bullet points are fine. If you're a bullet point person, you go for it. Whatever's gonna show you in what direction you want to go. So you can see here she's talking about a new campaign called Building Hope. We have a big dream, right? She's telling the donor. She tells the donor all about it. They've got an opportunity to buy 84 homes. They're going to renovate these homes. We need help. She talks about how they've raised money from different parts of the state. They say on page 3, this is the $43 million project. We were built for this. We're very excited. By the way, on the bottom of page 3, do you see that? We also hope that at least 25 donors will join us in the Legacy Society. So their particular campaign not only is capital money, it's also they want to say we'd love to include you in our legacy area. So don't be afraid to do that. Then, here's some of my favorites. Okay, so this makes sense to us, doesn't it? Appreciation twice. then what is the current state of affairs? It can be in a restaurant. We're looking for more foot traffic. We want to share our menu with more people in Federal Way. Here's what this status is. Foundation, Art Foundation, we are in a place where we know that there are a lot of people we're not accessing to come to our, whatever you put on, I don't know.
Cultural programs.
What?
Cultural programs.
Cultural programs, okay. So right now we have 5 and we want to have 10. We think it's really important. So the current status of what you're doing, and then why is the donor in front of you? Why is the prospective donor in front of you? That's the overview of the campaign. The overview of what the need is. That's what that means, okay? So you take as long as, and you step it, you breadcrumb it, right? You just step it all the way to get there. And then when you describe it all, and in a quiet moment, you guys can read this and you think, oh, that's how they, right? So you can, this will help you. That's why I have it for you. And then we go on the top of page 4, and then here are, you can see them, focus on them, the request, the recognition, and the final comments. That happens in that order every time. So the focus on them is, well, Jacqueline, we're approaching today as part of the silent phase of the campaign, and we're hoping to have, she's on the board of directors. So this approach went to the board of directors first, right? In this capital campaign, you probably all know that when you have a campaign that's got a board, you ask your executives of the organization and the board of directors to give first before you go outside and ask for other donors. Because those closest to the organization, whoever that might be, owners, boards, whatever, need to give first. Because as a donor, I think, well, if the board doesn't have 100% participation, why should I give? Right? If the owners don't give, why would I not give, right? So in this particular case, we give a little extra that says we're hoping to have 100% participation. And then we say board participation is just so important about this project. So the focus on them is, why are they in front of you? Why are they in front of you? And then there's the request. We'd like you to join us by considering a gift of $10,000. This could break down to $2,000 per year for 5 years. And of course, we would be happy for any schedule that works best for you, right? Meaning timing. Again, a specific gift, a specific gift. And you know, it is an art and a science, right? You don't know exactly what's going to be perfect, but all you can do is your due diligence on the donor, the history. What have they given before? What have they given to like organizations like yours? If they haven't, then make it a leadership gift. If it's a first-time gift and you have no idea, then make it $1,000. Or if you need $5,000, make it $5,000. They'll let you know, oh, that's way too much, or oh, I think we can handle that. Or if you think it's $1,000, make the ask for $5,000 and spread it over 5 years. Right? Look at what you want. Look at that donor's history and make it easy for them. If it's a one-shot deal, a sponsorship, right, it's going to be you need the money now. We'd like you to consider $2,500. If you'd like to do that in 2 years, if you could handle it, would that work out for you? Because we have ongoing gifts all the time, right, from donors that spread it over years. They can pledge to you more money that way. For example, there's a credit union in Pierce County called Harborstone Credit Union. I worked, you know that? Have you ever heard of Harborstone? Lovely outfit. I used to work for them for a couple years. I was their sales trainer. And what we used to do, what they do now, which they didn't do when I worked for them, that was before I went to United Way. What we did there was, what they do now is they make a gift of $5,000 every year, and they just renew every 3 years. So we go in front of them. United Way, for example, goes in front of them. They did it for the campaign first. This is the beauty of a good gift approach. When they made a $15,000 gift to the campaign at United Way, which just ended, they raised $8 million. Never before have they raised that kind of money, right? So Harborstone Credit Union, one of them, they gave $5,000 every year for 3 years during the campaign. But when the campaign ended, United Way went to them and said, would you do that again? The campaign's over, but we still need to fund basic needs, right? So that's what they do now. Every 3 years, they pledge $15,000 and they pay $5,000 a year. You can do that too. What happens is donors say, oh, you don't need it all at one time? No. And we want sustainability, right? We want investors for us. We want donors we have to steward them, right? We have some work to do, right? We have to keep it moving, the attention to them. But when you're thinking about a gift amount, think that way too. Not just what you need right now, but what you could do over time, because maybe you could continue it. Because once someone loves you and you continue to pour the love on, it works out usually. It works out, right? If you do that, passion and practice ahead of time, boy, oh boy. This is the gift that keeps on giving. This is what this is. So we've made the request, and then I want you to write in here. You ready? Right after the request, I want you to read, the first word I want you to write is the letter B and the letter E. B. And then I want you to write the letter Q, U, I, E, T. What's that spell? Be quiet. When you ask for a gift, this is when you pause. And you count to 30 or pinch yourself or whatever you have to do, you just be quiet. Because the donor is thinking about what you asked them. Right? Good 30, 45 seconds. I'm hoping that, or of course, and the last thing you say, right? Of course, we'd be happy for any schedule that works for you. Might be awkward for you, like, oh my God, I gotta talk. Nope. Do not talk. Be quiet. Because you're going to get back from the donor something. Like, well, okay, well, we'll think about it. Or, my God, $5,000, really? That's what you need? Or, we've talked about it, honey, we can do this, right? Yeah, we can do it. Right, you're going to get some response. We'll think about it is pretty popular, right? It's very, very hard to be quiet. Very hard, but you have to do it. It's the most effective because then you're asking for donor response. And you need a clue about what happens, right? So, whatever they said, the last thing that you need to communicate is, what is the recognition for their gift? And of course, you decide that ahead of time. In this case, they're going to have a donor recognition art installation. I think they're probably going to have an installation out on the wall because there's nobody ever comes in the office. So people that drive by, they're hoping they can do some kind of artwork. So you always want to have some type of recognition, whatever you're raising money. And you all know those. There's levels, there's names, the silver crowd, the gold crowd, the mountainous crowd. We all name them different things. The gold sponsor, the brass sponsor, whatever we call them. But always have something of value add for recognition for a donor. It costs you no money. This is the best return on investment you have. You can say, just like the Legacy Society, that Legacy Society is just on paper. That's it. And that's what recognition is. And maybe you invite them to a little VIP party before a concert, or you do things for them, but to give them recognition costs you no money at all. Unless you're doing an art installation or whatever, and that's part of your campaign. But per person, no. For Habitat, for the donor, let me show you what they're, not the highest rate, but a minimum. Look at my cute little house on my keyring. That's the recognition. So sometimes you have tchotchkes that they give you, right? There's a doormat that says welcome for Habitat. I think that's clever. There's cups, there's all these things that you have. They're usually for the larger donor, right? 10,000 or more is when you start spending a little money. It's beautifully wrapped. Goodwill. Anybody ever heard of Hilltop Artists in Tacoma Pierce County? Magnificent nonprofit, has kids blowing glass. And so a lot of our nonprofits in our community, this is a great idea, it'd be lovely in Federal Way. These kids make these unique, right? Because kids are unique and they make unique stuff. They make these glass objects for a very minimal amount of money, and then you put them in beautiful paper and tissue paper and wrap it up and give it to a donor and say, a 12-year-old made this for you in recognition for how much you're doing for the organization. Oh, gets a donor every time. I have them all over my house. I love them. I love them. And a donor loves them too, right? So find a way to recognize a donor. whatever that might look like in your organization. Do that. So after the recognition happens, and they're still, not saying too much, then this is one of the most important things you can say are the final comments. Please take your time to review the packet because, of course, you brought a beautiful brochure about what you want. You've listed something in writing because we call that a leave behind. So when you leave me, you're going to leave behind something I could talk about with my dog, my partner, my sister over green beans for dinner. I'm going to talk about it with somebody, and I need something written so I can refer to it. And what you said, here's the key, there's the most important key. They're all important, so I don't know if it's the most important, but it's really important. What you have in your written form in that brochure should be what's in here, right? Because that's the guts of the project that you're raising money for. So when you write it, it's easy to write these talking points because it's kind of your brochure kind of chopped up in everyday speak, right? Easy. So that's how easy this is. If you've already created your case statement or why you're raising money, then you just chop it up a little and put it in bullet points, and that's what you're presenting. Because what happens? Calvin goes home, you've asked him for money, he's thinking about it, he talked to his sister, and his sister here talking about it, she goes, well, what else did they say? And he goes, I don't know, they left this. Oh yeah, this is what they said. And they reconfirm what they said verbally as they're thinking about a gift. It just pulls it all together for them. And because it's emotional, people talking in front of each other, and maybe they had a moment where they weren't really listening to you, it happens. They go back to it and they go, oh yeah, that's right. She was talking about something like this. Yeah, I get it now. And it kind of validates, right? And affirms about what you said in the gift approach. Your materials need to follow you, and you need to follow your materials. So that's why this sample is so good for you. Just take whatever else you say now and say it again in a different format, okay? Now here's the big deal. So we thank them again at the end, right? There's a second bullet there. Appreciate the time we've shared. Do you have any questions? Now, the donor may have 92 questions in between here, and you're thinking, I am not asking them if they have any more questions. That's your call. If they've asked 92, you don't need 93. If they've asked no questions, ask this question. They've only asked one, okay. Again, if it's 92, don't ask them anymore because they're going to interrupt and ask questions already. You don't need to ask it again. But if there hasn't been many questions, say, do you have any questions? And they look at each other. If there's two of them or one, they go, no, I don't think so. And then you immediately say, I hope you know that we're really grateful for whatever you find meaningful as a gift to the campaign. But that isn't the ask. We're just saying, we hope it's meaningful for you. The ask is up here by the dollar amount. Don't be confused about that, all right? And then here is the thing that many, many fundraisers just have heartburn over. I say it every time, and if you don't, you will be chasing butterflies. Here's what you say. Would it be okay, Jerry, if I check back with you in about 2 weeks? So that's about November 1st. Would that be a good time to call back?
Perfect.
Oh, great, thanks so much. Perfectly, princess, is what she said. But if you don't do that, donor time becomes 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. You need, just like a dollar amount, you need to give a specific date when you will follow up. Because you're putting everybody on notice in a nice way. This is what I've done, this is what I'm follow up with you. You have to do that, right? You can't just go, oh, I forgot to call them. And they may tell you, I'm getting some other things in order, my finances, and I'm not quite sure where I am. And then you say to them, so another week? Or another month, whatever they say, you go, okay, and then what do? You go to your calendar and you check that date and then you call again. Do you see how this can be so easy but so complex if you don't do what you say you're going to do? This is why it's so critical. And I'd like to tell you that, this works 50% of the time, but I can't tell you it's 100% of the time. I have never done this approach and not had a gift. Now, if someone, I don't mean they don't give. I've had donors that can't give at this time, but that it's not been appreciated, or that you haven't had a good experience with it, or the donor is appreciative of your time. You know you've done a good job when someone says to you, thank you so much for your time and for your homework. I mean, I had no idea. I understand the project better. I'm really thinking of you. I want to help you, right? These are the kind of comments you hear from a donor when you've done this kind of homework. Mimi.
you get a response of, I can't help you at this time, but I respect your time. I understand the project. Can you think of somebody else I might need to contact about this? Do you have somebody else that you know who would be interested?
In a major gift way, I don't want to talk about any other donors at that time, right? If later at time when you're following up, because if somebody says to me, I can't give it this time, I said, absolutely, really do appreciate it. I hope you don't mind if we stay in touch, right? And that person's not going to say no, right? They're not going to do that. They're going to go, no, sure. So you wait a month, or maybe you wait 3 weeks. And then you call them and say, listen, I've been thinking about it, and I'm wondering, because you're in that sector of wherever you think they might know somebody, and I'm wondering, is there people that you think I should be talking to? I do it that way.
Okay.
I would not do it at the gift approach.
Okay.
Because now the objective of the meeting is mixed.
So I have a friend who did this back when we were in college, and his approach, he was like, so I have this project I'm undertaking, and I want to practice my getting people to understand this project.
Right.
So you thought he was practicing with you, and then he gets to, do you understand the project? Would you like to support the project in this amount? And you go, I thought I was just your practice.
Oh, that's clever. Does that work? Wow. Yeah. Not a bad idea, but I don't know. Questions. What questions do you have? Is it a surprise? It is overwhelming? Does it make sense?
Can you theoretically close and just say, can I count on you for some support?
I will tell you that you can say that, but the most effective way to approach someone for a major gift is to ask them for a dollar amount. And then and then you give them time to think about it, and then you close.
Perfect.
It's just that simple. To say can I count on your support? It could be, dollar amount could be any amount. I don't know when it is. I don't know how much it is. And my mind and the donor mind is different than your mind.
Right.
And so that's why we have to be so specific. Yeah. I do not use those words ever, can I count on your support? Because I feel like I'm a political candidate and I just want $500, and that isn't what I want. So, yeah. Mimi.
So I have donors all over the country. So how would I approach that one-on-one? Is it just a phone call, like if I was in person?
So you have Zoom now, right? I will tell you that United Way, did I say this I don't think I said this last week. United Way had a campaign. They started a year before Zoom. And of course, when the pandemic hit, when COVID hit, most nonprofits just went dark. Anybody that was in a campaign, right? They shook of fear. United Way of Pierce County, I might say Albina had something to do with it, said, I don't know why we're going to stop. We have Zoom. People are used to it. People didn't give up their passion for this cause. And by the way, they got a lot of time on their hands right now. They're not going anywhere. They're not going to parties. Can't even go outside the house hardly. Let's set up some Zoom calls. And we raised $4 million in Zoom calls. So I think Zoom is actually a very effective way. I wouldn't have said it beforehand. Before COVID, I'd have said, oh no, that wouldn't be very effective. But it's the same setup. United Way used this exact protocol, but just on a Zoom call. The only difference was I wasn't this close. I was seeing you in the screen. I could read your body language. I asked for a specific gift. I said, can I follow up with you in 2 weeks? I told you all about the campaign, what's happening. I told you how much I appreciated you. I did everything in this on these talking points. And it didn't make any difference. Now, the thing that was fun was donors had a glass of wine here while they were talking, and we didn't get to do that, right? I did a few of them with them. Or, all of a sudden I'm thinking, really? We're on a Zoom call? But, Zoom behavior. But it worked out pretty well. And they're one of the few nonprofits during that time. A lot of people had to catch up later. But they just weren't willing to admit that people at home still didn't have a heart for their cause. And in COVID, maybe because of the cause, basic needs, kids going to bed with a hungry tummy, or not enough to pay the rent and the medicine. I mean, these are basic needs, right, for people. So people were more attuned to, yes, let's set up a Zoom call. Yeah. Good question, though. I think you could do beautiful work. But it is, what I'm just telling you, when a potential donor or a prospect, and regardless of what you're raising money for, the church, your business, new business, whatever, all 7 of Mimi's, if you take this kind of care with the donor notices. And the donor is already so positive and appreciative of this time you're giving them, of the way you treat them, the way you looked in my background to see how much money, because you talk to a lot of donors and they'll say, I don't even think they know how much I've given them. This gal's new, she probably doesn't even know. Many, many times you hear that from donors. And when you take the time to tell them, they kind of get giggly. They kind of go, have I really given like $12,000 over the last 5 years? Yes, you have. And it's pretty doggone exciting. Again, an affirmation, right? Great question, great question. Other talking points? Comments?
Oh, yes. Hold
Yes,
on.
ma'am, Janine.
How effective is that approach, the face-to-face approach, compared to, say, like writing letters or something?
Now, I did not give her any money to answer that question, but it's as if you were reading my mind.
Good question.
So, annual donors, the ones we write letters to, are a meaningful way to raise money. People raise that money, and you know it, you get it in the mail every day. But a lot of times you do this. Yeah, no, I can't do that, right? There's no interaction, there's no humanness at all. The envelope might entice you. The color of the envelope might entice you, but probably not. So you put it over here. If it's an organization you know, you'll open it. But it might not be time. But you don't do anything. You don't call them and go, it's just not the good time now. But, keep sending me stuff. You don't do that. You ignore it. When you're in front of me and I'm building a relationship with you, you can't ignore me. You have to make a decision with me. And I'm going to know where we're going after this gift approach. Of an annual donor, we send mail out for, my God, years to people. And if they give us $5, we're going to do another 10 years of those numbers. We just can't let them go. So the effective way of using your resource time, your human staff time, your project, the owners, whatever, is one-on-one. The biggest, most advantage of a return on your investment of time is face-to-face, or Zoom to Zoom, or Zoom to Zoom. Yeah. I mean, there's like a 1% turn rate, 1 to 3, I think the chances are. And if you go to 3%, you're like, woo, 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 we're making money. And it's like $25,000. You can get $25,000 in one gift approach. If I had one message to you, it would be that you could dream about these numbers. This is how people give numbers like this. They don't give numbers like this to an annual writing campaign. Nobody writes a check for $20,000 in an annual campaign. In a blue moon, pennies from heaven, you might get a $1,000 check. My God, there is dancing and singing in the hallways. But you don't know because you haven't done this part yet. But when you take this kind of care and you do this kind of history, this kind of passion, because the donors already love you. The cause already means something to them. So you're just asking them for a little more to share with you. Yeah, maybe.
If you've never done this before, do you start small? Because I would feel, if somebody came at me and asked me for $10,000, I would say, I'm never inviting this person over again.
Well, you don't take a number that when you strategize, right? Because that's what the due diligence is. When you strategize what the dollar amount is, you're conservative, right? Okay. You're conservative. You don't just think, well, and then there's an art, right? The art is that it's creative. The science is, what have they done before? What is the history of that?
But if we don't have history.
But if you don't have history, then maybe they're given in the community. You know a little bit about them. People in the Northwest aren't ostentatious about their giving.
Yeah.
If they have a bunch of cars in the driveway, that go on illicit vacations, we don't really know about Northwest people. They hide their wealth, most of them. There's some that don't, but some. So you don't really know unless you Google them, right? You could find out about the history of them. Are they other donors of other places? How do you know them? Does that person know? Is there someone you can take in your confidence and say, I'm thinking of approaching them. Do you think a range of $5,000 to $6,000 would be just astronomical for them, or do you think I'm in the sweet spot? Because you have to do that work. You have to do that work. You can't come to someone you absolutely don't know and for this to work.
Yeah.
You have to do some practical due diligence to have some idea. But you already promised me you would never say, just make a meaningful gift. That's right, you already promised me, so you can't do that. Okay. Yeah, it's a good question. And and what is small to me is large to somebody else, and what's large to me is small to somebody else, right? It just depends. It's situational. The donor is situational. So, yeah, there's nothing worse than asking a person for a gift that is so out of their ballpark, because then there's not much trust there. I talk about that in another class, but since we're talking right now, maybe I could share it. Could I share it? Is it time for me to end?
Oh, yeah, no, we're at the question time. We're all done with slides. You can share all the stories you want.
So here's one for you. We talked about moves management. Have we talked about that?
No, that's next time.
Next week. Well, okay, I'm going to tell you the story ahead of time, though. All right, so, because it kind of falls into this. It'll mean maybe a little bit more next time when we meet on November 7th, but in case you're not here at that one. I was asked by my boss to make a gift approach for $1 million to this couple. This couple had given not quite $1 million, but close to it to us in the past. And they were a very famous family in Tacoma, and this husband and wife really liked me, and my boss knew it. And she was hungry for money for the budget. And they liked me, and they'd given me money. And she said, I think it's time that you ask them for $1 million gift. And I said, I was brand new. I was not even 60 days in the job. This was back in 2005. And my face just like, are you kidding me? You can't say to your boss, what are you, crazy? I didn't even know enough to say, are you crazy? I said, well, they love you, Linda Kay, they blah, blah, blah. And I thought, okay, just trying to, please the boss. We went to lunch. And I asked, after the night, we went to lunch because they really like to eat. They were in their 80s, and man, if you're going to meet me, we're going to have food. So I picked a restaurant where there wasn't a lot of, right? They picked the restaurant. So we're talking, and I said, well, I'm just wondering if you would consider joining me in $1 million. And the woman did this. I will never forget that sound the rest of my life. My face went bright red. I said, and she said, I said, and the husband said, yeah, we're not going to do $1 million for you. I said, okay, could you pass the potatoes? As I was so embarrassed I could have crawled underneath the table. I didn't do my homework. I didn't give them any information that was new. I just said, give me $1 million because I knew them, because they liked me. I did everything wrong. Everything wrong. I swore I would never succumb to that pressure ever again. If it wasn't in here, my passion for it, I didn't do my homework. I knew them, I knew the history, but it wasn't enough. And they forgave me. 7 years later, I did the eulogy at her funeral. And 2 years later, I did the eulogy at his funeral. But it took me a little while to get back in their good graces because they thought I was a nutcake. How could I do that? So don't let that happen to you, because I know they had the capacity, but I hadn't given them any campaign or any information. So I couldn't move anywhere.
I'm just thinking, how do you get to know that this donor will be willing to support like a business that is just for a beginner, but there are other donors who would want you to have done business like for a while before they are able to trust you, with their money. So how are you able to like get contacts for those donors for a beginner, because we are beginners. Mm-hmm. So we would really love to get information on such donors. Yeah.
Well, it's a $64 million question. Everybody's looking for the donor. Whether you're just starting out or you've been around for a while, recruitment and donor research, prospect research we call it, is a really important piece. Common sense ideas from me about that, like-minded people invest in things. So if there are people that you know or your contacts know that are interested in your cause, maybe other medical people who thinks it's a really good idea, and you find someone, this is what you need for a donor. You need someone who has an affinity for what you're doing, who has a passion for what you're doing, that if they could do it, they'd do it too, but they're not doing it, right? Then you have a donor that's got capacity, that you somehow find out that they have capacity to give something. If someone's living month to month with no extra cash, that's not someone you're going to ask, right? So affinity, capacity, and then there's got to be the third, which is the cement between those two, which makes it work, is a relationship. So you've got to find somebody who has a relationship with this person, whether it's you or somebody else. It can be other people, doesn't have to be you. But if you've got affinity and capacity and some kind of connected relationship, these are the people you find. And they could be anywhere. So if I were starting a business and wanting someone, which I have, Melvin, come think of it, I went to people who were like-minded, who wanted the same things that I wanted and needed help doing them. That's how I found mine. And then it went by word of mouth. So if there's circles that you play in, and you both do, right? You're in the medical field. There's lots of CNEs out there that have uncles and aunts and family history and family foundations and all kinds of things. You just have to do your donor prospect, your prospecting research. And everybody does it. Hospitals, academia, small businesses, nonprofits, we all do donor prospect, called donor prospecting. And you've just got to find those three things, right? And sometimes it's somebody who will say, is so admirable of your work. Like, wow, you started that? That's incredible. And then you start to ask the questions, well, it is pretty incredible. Have you ever thought about him, getting more involved? Right? You can start the conversation. Because as the cheerleader for your cause, there's nobody more important than that. Your passion that passion spreads. So if they already have an affinity for you, and you've got the passion, and you know that you're approaching someone that you think has capacity, and you know there's some small relationship, there's a green light. Go, 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 go. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, every new business has the same question you have. It's a good question. It's a good question. I wish you luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and next time we meet on November 7th, we'll be calling, Moves Management will be part of that conversation, and that's going to kind of give you insight on how to establish that relationship.
Yep.
Is the 7th the last?
Yes, the 7th's the last one.
November 7th.
November 7th.
I'll miss you there. Yeah. I hope it was, tonight's class was valuable for you. I do hope. Yes, yes.
Thank you.
I'm seeing head nods. This is good.
Yes. Tell us on our last class if you've raised any money or have some ideas, maybe a plan.
Why don't you say aloud what you told me when we walked in about, a beautiful story.
So I'm right now at the convention. Washington Council of the Blind has a convention going on right now. And that's where I was today. That's why I was the crazy one up there, because it's crazy. And it's that last week we were talking about your story, why, or the 3 minutes.
That's right.
To relay the problem, your solution, and what was it, passion behind it, or
That's it. Oh my gosh, you could teach the class. Yeah.
So today, because I had all these patrons that were coming in, I was the first booth of the day as they walked in the door, and I just said hi and gave my spiel. And I had a volunteer. It was funny because you were talking about the people that went off like this. I'm like, she needs to stop talking because they want to talk to us, but she kept interrupting.
Yeah.
And I was like, so I need next time to have a script for her.
There you go.
That she doesn't, go off of that. Because she's only new like 2 months.
Okay.
I'm 10 years.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. We have to learn.
Yeah.
We have to learn how to talk. So I used to look at my boss all the time, and I'd want to say it just like she did. And it took me a while to hear everything she said. Then I could say it my own way. I would just write down everything she said so I could learn. Oh, I am so proud of you. 3 impactor all day long.
Right.
That's awesome.
That's great.
That is just awesome.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Oh.
And first of all, thank you so much. I learned a lot, and this is a kind of a new word for me, and then quite interesting. But I still thinking, how I use this learning into my business, and I'm just keep thinking about how can I contribute to all of you here at the same time, or also I can establish my business. And just keep thinking about whatever you guys have an event just come to my restaurant or catering in my restaurant, and I give them maybe some percentage back to your cause or your event. That can be a good partnership. And I don't know, is that a right way I'm thinking, or is this wrong way? I do not know.
The name of your restaurant again, please?
It's a Center Plaza. It's next to the behind the Red Lobster. So
What's the name of it?
Bim Express. BIBIM Express. So it's kind of Korean fusion. It's basically rice balls. So we have a rice. You have a beef, pork, chicken, whatever you want, tofu, protein, and then you also want to have a variety of vegetable together.
So P-I-P-I-M.
B-I-B-I-M.
B, like boy.
Yeah, yes, like boy. So BB means mix. So you want to mix with all the protein, veg, and rice, so you have a balance in every bowl. So that is our...
Well, I actually think that's an excellent idea. I have seen it many times where a restaurant has given a percentage off the cause, and they tell people in their own materials. It's a lovely idea.
So you have your cause, and then we also advertise this is good cause, and then also enjoy the food. So I think we can establish some good partnership. Yes, and very close to the Performing Arts Center and then city. Yeah, so...
Yeah. Who doesn't like a good rice bowl? That's what I say.
It's awesome.
Well, that's nice of you to offer that, John. That's very nice. Look, you're already getting takers. Okay.
Yay.
Thank you. You're awesome.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Glad you were here. Thank you.